Bel-Air Season 2, Episode 10, titled Don't Look Back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Black Abstract channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell. So we're going to talk about this episode. Listen, I know I didn't do individual recaps for the season. I just wanted to do one video for the whole season to kind of sum up everything. As we all know, Will came back to the Banks' household. Him and Phil made up at the yacht party for Ashley's birthday. We saw OG Ashley Banks, who was Ashley's teacher. She came into the fold. She wound up getting fired because she was going off the curricular, but mostly because she was showing more attention to the new Ashley, and they found out about it. Also, we see that OG Vivian and the new Aunt Viv kind of get into a gripe because they offer her the fellowship, which is, she's continued to thrive as an artist. Phil's firm has been kind of tanking, and one of his partners has been taking secret meetings because he wants to do an acquisition with another firm to combine, and because they pretty much don't have enough to go and keep their employees. So Phil's trying to figure out a situation. We see a fling of his come back into his life, who actually was Vivian's friend, who when her and Phil took a break, her and Phil decided to be in a relationship, and this is supposed to be like her good friend. They were in a relationship for like 2 years. It didn't work out, and then he wound up going to Viv, back in the college years. So, she's looking at her with a side eye because, she came to meet Phil, but Phil didn't know he was meeting with her. He thought he was meeting with one of his old clients that he was trying to poach back for the firm to save them, but it was her, and she just made him a proposition like, yo, won't you be a senior partner at our firm? Forget about that firm. And, he was going to take it. He was considering it, but he didn't want to. We find out Jeffrey has a kid. Him and Phil wind up eventually making up, which was super emotional. I thought it was super dope. And also we saw that he was sneaking around in the office. So Phil sensed something was off, and I think he saw what he was searching for. But instead of kind of condemning him, they wind up helping him. We did see Will and Uncle Phil make up as well. And he is interested in a new street ball team called Zenith, which is ran by this guy named Doc, who Phil has a kind of he got a bad taste for the guy. Hillary is thriving in her household that her and Ivy purchased, but Ivy's kind of been bossing her around and kind of just treating her like the lackey. And we see that her and Jazz decide to take it serious once Ivy kind of is trying to intrude on that. So I was like, wow. And Carlton has been kind of kicked out of his social group, so he's trying to find his footing in a new social group. And that's pretty much what the bulk of season 2 is, I think the most perplexing and polarizing character of the season was definitely Carlton. I think this was more so his season. The character that plays him, Ollie, does such an amazing job. His ability to kind of weave in between all these emotions that he has is kind of is amazing. Will does also amazing job of embodying who we know as Fresh Prince, but also he had his trials and tribulations. Will's thing, a lot of people, I saw, why is he crying so much? This is a fucking emotional, fragile teen who feel like he can't trust nobody in his life. You know what I mean? He has trust issues, and that all started when his dad walked out on him. So when somebody said they down for him and he thinks it's or sees that it's otherwise, that eats at him and breaks him because it's reminding him of his dad, and it makes him feel like, yo, why am I getting treated like this? You get what I'm saying? And he's teenagers are emotional, man, and this is a culture shock for him. He's coming from West Philly to Bel-Air. This is a whole new everything for him. So I'm like, people gotta get a man a break. I really don't get it. I think I commend him for kind of letting the emotions out and not hiding them back. He did have a couple of moments where I was kind of like, come on, dude. When he said fuck Jazz, or he was trying to start the fight at the court this episode, when dude obviously would have kicked his ass. He was bigger than him, but that's just displaced anger. He didn't know what to do with it. We see that him and Carlton were running for the same thing at school. Carlton wind up eventually getting it, but at the cost of kind of his relationship with Ashley. She sees him doing drugs, and he grabs her, and I'm like, come on, Ashley don't deserve that, man. She's a sweetheart. And at the event, he winds up coming forward and tell them that he's on drugs. And that was a callback to that one episode, which was which was one of my favorite episodes, when he went on that binge and he woke up and his car was gone. He had to call his mom, and he makes this elaborate story as to where he was and how he got stranded. I was just like, oh my goodness. Hillary and Jazz are from two different worlds, so we knew it was inevitable for them to have some kind of issues. You know, Jazz is Muslim, faith-based, independent, and Hillary is independent as well, but she's more so, she independent by choice, because you know she's determined to make her own lane in her own way. But she is spoiled. She comes from money, so she's used to certain things. And we seen that her parents didn't really approve of her talking to Jazz. They thought, you could tell they thought he was beneath her. Why are you talking to this guy? And you know, one of her exes come back into her life, which is a football player in the league, and you know he's doing everything right. He's pulling all the stops, and we see her and Jazz break up, and Hillary jump right back on that magic stick. I said, oh. And then he said, yo, let me take you to Rome. And I thought they was getting back together. You know, he goes over there and says what he wants to say. But Hillary like, listen, little nigga, you out of your league. And, you know, we think she's about to pop up at his house. But she's with old boy. You know, she decides to go to Rome. And, you know, Jazz is beating his meat at the crib. So Carlton comes out amid his drug use. And we've seen, I saw one of the most emotional. I finally got something from Uncle Phil, because, you know, we've seen him angry, but we haven't seen him angry. And we saw him, you know, come out and fucking him and Carlton get into that emotional scene, and Carlton's trying to blame him, like, you know, it's so hard trying to live up to your expectations or your standards. It's exhausting. And he's, oh yeah, blame me for every fucking thing. And then we see at the end they get all emotional. They're crying and hugging. And I'm like, oh, man, this is great stuff right here. One person I wanted to see all season was Will's mom, because I'm like, yo, what? Did she get kicked off the show? But last episode, they actually brought her in. You know, she did a quick FaceTime. So I was like, okay, she's still around. And we see Will actually admit that, you know, he shouldn't have kicked his father out or kicked him out of his life or said what he said to his dad, because he feels like he needs him now. We do find out that Doc was doing some shady shit to the players. And that was kind of Phil's reservation from the get-go. But we also learned that he actually is taking care of these guys as well. And he has a partner who wants to whistleblow when Doc kind of was doing shady shit. But, you know, I look at it as like, listen, you give a little, you get a little. You know, so what if he getting money on the side? He's actually taking care of these guys. He's honing these guys. But the whistleblower situation, they wind up solving it. And, that was kind of his plan in the middle. Because we was wondering why he wanted Phil in the first place. But he wanted Phil to kind of handle that situation, so he wouldn't have to handle it on some street shit. You know, Phil could possibly handle it on some legal shit. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty dope. And all in all, listen, this season was great. Lisa was kind of getting on my nerves. She was homie hopping again. But all in all, you know, her and Will ended up who they were supposed to be with. The new guy they introduced, oh man, I hate him more than Carlton. The light-skinned cat, and the one Carlton beat up in the bowling alley, he was getting on my fucking nerves too. I was like, yo, who is this clown? They found somebody more cornier than Carlton finally. So Lisa, man, you got an affinity for corny ass dudes, but she was homie hopping like a motherfucker. I'm like, and then, you know, Will had a new love interest, which is Doc's niece. But, you know, he felt betrayed by her as well, so he called that off. Also, you know, Vivian got offered the fellowship from the OG Aunt Viv, and they came to head, but she convinced her to kind of just pass the torch and the baton, and it'll look much better versus them pitting us against each other, and it wound up working. But her and Phil are butting heads because obviously, you know, the revelation of Carlton doing these drugs, they realizing like, yo, how did we not see this? And, you know, we should have kind of been more around and took the time, blah, blah, blah. So it's a bunch of stuff, man. This season I think was fantastic. I think they did a real good job with a follow-up. Next season, I'm even more, because it's going to be summer in Bel-Air, and they already leading up like it's about to be the dopest shit. I like the fact that they had summertime playing at the end. Will Smith, you know, that was pretty dope. So, yeah, I liked everything about this season, man. My kids starting to like it. It's just refreshing to see, you know, healthy black folks on television, people of color, and not being ratchet and shit. Yes, they have their trials, tribulations about certain things, but all in all, you got good looking black people who are being displayed and showcased positively in a positive light, and I think that's pretty dope. You know what I mean? If anything I missed, we could talk about it in the comments. All in all, if I had to rate this season out of 5 mics, because I rate everything with mics, I will give season 2 of Bel-Air a 4 out of 5. I thought it was pretty dope. Post your comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell as always. Peace, love, and prosperity. You can go to prayforbuffalo.com if you need merch, and go to manscaped.com, enter the promo code ABSTRACT if you need 20% off your order.